Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and this is another Snap Judgment review. What is a Snap Judgment review if you've never listened before? Well, my friends, it is... I start to think that modern day reviewers get a little bit caught up in 100%ing a game or near 100%ing a game. They forget what it's like to play it right off the bat. So I'm trying to give you an idea whether you're going to enjoy it right off the rip or not. That, coupled with the fact that I think video games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I will not be giving a score to this review. Instead, I'll be telling you what the game is in an overview. Then I'll be listing pros and cons of the game in my point of view, as all reviews are. And then I'll be telling you personally whether I will be sticking with it outside the purposes of this review. So what am I reviewing today? I'm really excited about this one. This might be a short and sweet review because I don't know that I have too much to say about this one. Shinobi, The Art of Vengeance. So this is the second time ever in my entire video game career that I have paid for early access. It was an extra $10 to play it 3 days early. So I paid it. And I got to play it. And I'm not going to lie. I don't regret the decision. It is made by Lizard Cube, which has made one of my favorite games of all time, that be Streets of Rage 4. And it is supposed to be a nod to the Shinobi games of old while bringing it into the modern. And that's exactly what it does. So let's get into it. In Shinobi, it is hand-drawn, handcrafted, and it is kind of like a platformer slash hack and slash game. This is the type of game that if Ninja Gaiden and Streets of Rage had a baby, it would be Shinobi. Whereas the bad guys have health bars that are not really like one swipe kill health bars. You're not going to be running through murdering everything on the block. But you're also doing a healthy amount of speed platforming and fighting. I actually kind of felt very closer to Dead Cells in the like combat to me, and that is of course a compliment. As far as the overview goes, there is a story here which I found really kind of exciting. There's a bad guy named Lord Ruse. He is in control of this evil paramilitary organization called ENE. They have taken over the world. It is up to Joe Musashi to stop them, but he is actually retired. He teaches ninjas now and has a wife with a child on the way. Of course, his dojo is attacked. His ninja clan is destroyed. So he decides to go to war with ENE. And that's kind of the crux of the plot. There is another little twist to it that I don't want to spoil here involving death, which I think is really cool. While the plot is simple and straightforward, it was more than I was expecting, and it has these hints and notes of badassery that just kind of elevate the game a little bit. On top of that, so you'll move through these stages, these 14 stages, and what you need to think of, this is not a Metroidvania. This is not kind of a platform then go back sort of thing. But in a way it is. You kind of have to think about it as there's 14 stages, and each one of those 14 stages is kind of like a Metroidvania onto itself, with abilities you get in later stages actually giving you a reason to come back to these stages and go through those secrets that you couldn't reach before. So it has those Metroid elements, but on a much more small, tight scale. And the level design is all over the place. It's not as simple as run from point A to B, slashing and killing everything. There are different objectives, different terrain kind of situations that you have to deal with that make it very, very interesting. There's also these bonus stages that are very old school Shinobi. I've only gotten to do one so far, which is Ride the Wolf in the very beginning, and I found it extremely fun and cool, and I'm pretty sure there's a surfing level later, which is also really awesome. As you fight through the game, you'll earn coins, you'll level up your Shinobi, and you will use them at the shop, which allows you to kind of like purchase more techniques and abilities for him to use. There are 3 different varying degrees. There's your normal combat abilities, then there's Nippo, which are kind of like these special abilities that are keyed to your 4 slots, and then there's the ninjutsu, which are these huge like screen altering mega attacks. that are kind of like your super specials. What's interesting about these is I found the Nippon to be very situational. Like, having a loadout actually matters. It's not necessarily about which 4 look the coolest. It is definitely like what you want to do in any given situation, and having the Nippon to do that. Because timing is everything with these things. It's very easy to get hit and knocked down. And this game is not super easy. Yes, you can restart from a checkpoint anytime, but Shinobi takes a ton of damage from getting hit by just about anything. He does recover damage with these really cool ninja executions, which we're going to talk about in the pros, but it is very easy to die. You're looking at 3 or 4 hits and then Shinobi no more. So you have to be very talented and very strategic when you're fighting everything. But that's the game. That's Shinobi, Art of Vengeance. Let's get into the pros and the cons. Guys, we haven't done this in a while. I cannot remember the last one that I had that was like this, but this is all pros. To find a con in this game would be the most nitpickiest thing ever. Maybe the music isn't quite world-altering. Maybe it can get a little frustrating from times, but there is nothing that stood out enough for me to write it down on my little piece of paper while I was playing. So it comes down to just pros for Shinobi, and you better believe this is on my Experience of the Year, an Experience of the Year candidate for our awards. Right off the bat, the art, everything's hand-drawn, and it's glorious and beautiful. It gives you a complete and total feel of whatever you're in. The level design is crazy. They go from, like, falling down a cliff and jumping from stones that are falling with you to sliding away from fire, or a helicopter that's chasing you, firing missiles. It's so cool stuff, and everything is beautifully hand-drawn. Every sprite, everything in it, and it is just the prettiest. And it really gives it flavor to this game. Which brings me to the combat. I love the combat, and we're going to actually talk about 3 sections of the combat overall. Because I love some things they did with this combat. I think this combat, like I said, the thing that made me go out and get this game, because I'm not really a platformer guy, or even a Metroidvania guy anymore, the thing that made me go out and get this game was the comparison to, like, a hack and slash. Almost like a hack and dash. And that's what I feel like with this. There is the DNA of Streets of Rage's combat system is in this game. It's just cranked up to 11 with speed and platforming stuff. I think that it is really, really interesting, and I love it. I absolutely love it. The fact that, like, you can make these hits and then string them together with forward dodges that move you through the attacks. So if you time it brilliantly, you look amazing. And not only that, to talk about more about the combat and the other 2 pros that I have from combat, has to be combos and executions. First of all, the combo counter I absolutely love. The combo counter does not reset if you are not hitting somebody. It only resets if you get hit. I think this is really cool. I hate when I'm trying to get a big combo and I run out of bad guys to take out. And then I just know that I'm not going to be able to get to another bad guy in time to keep my combo counter going. That drives me nuts. It's irritating. I don't know why it's precipitated this long in gaming, but this game changes all that, in my opinion. And I can't think of a game offhand. Not saying that it's not out there, but I can't think of a game offhand that doesn't do this, or that does do this other than Shinobi, which is if I hit 42 times without getting hit, and then I stand in a place, my combo counter still says 42 until somebody hits me. And I absolutely love that. I think that's great. I think it's an awesome part of the game. I love that it's built into the DNA, the fighting, and that brings me to the executions. As you hit people, you build up something called an execution bar on that specific person. When it gets to a point where you can use it, there's this little, like, red kanji above their head. And then if you press a quick button combination, you will dash forward, murder them, earn a bunch of extra coins, a bunch of throwing weapons, and health. this is how you kind of sustain yourself on long levels and extenuated battles, is by making sure you get these executions. It is really cool. It is really awesome, and it's a great system in place to keep yourself forward motion. You're constantly teetering on that life or death, and I love that. So then we come to the story. We talked about this a little bit in the overall. I actually think the story is pretty good. Like I said, it's straightforward so far from what I've played. There's not necessarily a ton of twists and turns, but I absolutely love the moment where they explain the bad guy and what he actually is. And I think it is a really cool idea, some kind of shake the foundations of heavens sort of shit, and I really am all here for it. So I actually enjoy the story. I very rarely do with games like this. I'm usually clicking through it just to get to the next murder rampage, but I'm actually really enjoying the story. And then finally, the save and restart. Okay, with platformers and beat 'em ups, that's something about the save and restart. Usually in them, you don't just get to go where you were before. Usually you have to like restart a level. This takes you to your last save point, period. Even if you quit the game. And it actually says it when you go to quit. It says, hey, we're going to save your progress where you last saved. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that's great. I wish all platformers did that. I can't count the number of times I'm in the middle of a level and then I've run out of time and I have to go somewhere and I have to somehow like quit out and lose all my progress in that level. This, you don't have to do that. You quit, you go back to your last save checkpoint, period. I think that's great. And like I said, guys, no cons. I love this game. I think it should be a contender for Game of the Year. It absolutely achieves what it's going for at every conceivable level. And in my opinion, I think Lizard Cube is one of the greatest developers of all time, just for me. I think every time they set their mind to doing something, they just knock it out of the park, and they don't settle for anything less than absolutely amazing. I can't wait to wait, and I don't even mind waiting the 4 years. I can't wait another 4 years to see what they do on the next game. So whether or not I'm going to stick with it, I think you guys know the answer. I'm definitely sticking with this. I'm probably going to finish it. I am really enjoying it. I'm really loving it. I can't wait to see more. What do you guys think? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? You can let me know in the comments below. You can also reach us on Discord. There's a link in the description. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. And as long as you guys keep watching and listening, I'll keep making them. See you guys next time.